I look back, and certainly not everything was pleasant, but I look back with no regrets, and I felt that it was probably one of the most worthwhile nonprofit community-related endeavors that I've ever done and could ever dream of doing.
It took leadership, it took people, it took going up against people who really could do something but didn't, unless they were confronted. And you confronted a lot of those folks, the bankers, et cetera.
No, I think that every minute that I've spent working to help advance the goals of this agency are minutes that are more than worth it, and you can't even measure those minutes in terms of value, in terms of money. It's all about what you feel inside your heart, and that you're helping people that need the help and are receptive to the help. That's I think the most important aspect of everybody that's involved with CACLV feels.
Some of the stuff we did with the banking community, for example, I think has really impacted the private sector as much as it did the city, but the city benefited if more people could buy houses in the city of Beltham and get financing for it. It was great for everyone concerned. So I thought it matched my role as Redevelopment Authority Executive Director very well in some of the missions I had in my job.
I'm trying to think of a way to phrase it. The enthusiasm and the determination of the whole board to do what they felt was right and to really invest in the community enough to try to make things better.
And, I only remember one time, and it wasn't during my presidency, but it was with someone at the Easton Housing Authority. I was a little worried that that a line was going to get crossed, but it ended up being okay. Actually ended up being fine.
The lack of administrative capacity is a fundamental flaw for the organization. It's also an Achilles heel for Alan Jennings. He needs a scheduler, he needs an assistant, he needs somebody to help him accomplish everything that's in his head. And so I do worry that the agency is built so around Alan Jennings. And I actively worry about what happens when Alan's no longer part of the agency.
And I really truly believe that my leadership skills, even though I knew I was a leader, I always have been enhanced and taken to the next level. And it has a lot to do with my work and my involvement with Community Action Board.
And there are times when you have to push harder, and there are times when you have to go back a little bit and renegotiate something. So I think that both stances are necessary. I think that both stances are effective, but it's just a matter of balancing those. And I think that this agency has certainly had to do that for many, many years.
It came to the point, I forget what year it was, but Jack Daniel, who was president of the board, suggested that we fire Alan Jennings. It was, there was a groundswell of activity to try to get reasons to fire Alan, and it was brought up to a board meeting. And I remember as president-elect at the time, I stood up. I felt that Alan was not only a good person, but a well-respected and a real leader to be in the organization. And we couldn't do without him. So I remember standing up and talking and swaying the group, our fellow board members, to preserve Alan, and I guess it preserved 35 years of tradition.
When I first became president of the board for Community Action Committee, people said to me, Alan Jennings is the executive director. How is it that you can work with somebody like Alan Jennings? And I gotta tell you, every time I was so proud to say, yes, he's out there, yes, he's chaining himself to trees, yes, he's standing in front of billboards, yes, he's knocking on the doors of bankers, telling them that they need to move operations in center cities, but I was really proud to be part of it.
Those problems are gonna always exist for CACLV. There's always gonna be controversy. I think the worst thing we could do is do nothing at all. Yes, sometimes we've done great work and it succeeded, and other times it fell a little flat. But we know that at the end of the day, everyone that's connected to CACLV, starting with Alan Jennings, knows that we did what we needed to do.
And, you know, making sure that our legacy as an organization is a living legacy. What have we done to sustain it? How are we sure that it's going to continue on doing the job it needs to do? And that, to me, is something that, you know, I worry about. I worry about that for good organizations. What kind of a planning how is the community rallying around that legacy and to make sure that it's sustainable?
I was sued. The agency was sued.
That's pretty animated. It's good.